Welcome to this crash course in clawhammer banjo. If you want to play stuff like this, then you've come to the right place. So I'm gonna go over six different steps in this tutorial. I'm gonna talk about the anatomy of the banjo. What are the parts called? I'm gonna talk about how to place your fingers up here on the fretboard. I'm gonna talk about the bump ditty, which is what we use for the right hand when we play. I'm gonna talk about something called drop thumb. Then I'm gonna give you a scale exercise, and I'm gonna talk about hammer-ons and pull-offs. And if you get through all of this, then you have the perfect foundation for living an awesome clawhammer life. So let's get started. First off, what is the banjo? This is a 5-string banjo. There are banjos with other numbers of strings, mostly 4, but a lot of them have 5, like this one. This is the body of the banjo, and it can either be closed back or open back. This particular banjo has a set of screws. You can see here I can actually take the back off, and then the banjo sounds more round and soft, but not as clear. So people who play bluegrass and stuff like that, they usually have the back of the banjo on so they can punch through and get heard. Whereas people who play softer music or old time music, they oftentimes like to take off the back of the banjo. So some banjos can do that. Some banjos don't have a backside at all. But that's that. Now, what else do we have? We have the chair of the banjo. It's this part down here. Then we have this thing going up here. So this is the body, this is the neck, this is the head. These are tuning knots or tuning screws, I think that's what they're called. And you can twist these. If you turn them one way, it's gonna make this string brighter, and the other way it's gonna make them darker. Now the weird thing about the banjo is one of the strings only goes to here. It's quite unique among stringed instruments. And these things here are called frets. We'll talk more about them later, but you see these metal rods that kind of go across the neck of the instruments. They are called frets. And this is fret number 1, fret number 2, fret number 3, etc. And when we're talking about like place your finger in fret number 1, it doesn't mean exactly on top of the fret. It actually means behind. It's quite confusing. But this is exactly where the string makes contact with the neck when you press down here in the space right behind. So this is fret number 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, the strings, we have 5 strings as mentioned, and these 5 strings are usually signified by numbers, so we know which string we're talking about. String number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I have my banjo tuned in open G, so it sounds like this. And that's the tuning that we're going to be using today. It's quite common, but some people like to tune in other tunings like open D or something called sawmill tuning or open C or some other kind. But we tune in open G for today's lesson. Now, let's get started with some exercises. So, this is the fretboard. And one thing we want to be able to do is move the fingers independently of each other, and we want to be able to stretch them. So I'm gonna give you this exercise. See if I can get up real close so you can see. So what I want to do for this is place each of my fingers in their own fret on the first string. It's gonna be tricky at first because your fingers are gonna want to do this if they're not used to playing stringed instruments. We want the space in between the fingers, and then we move the fingers one at a time. So these 3 fingers stay put, do not allow them to move. We move finger number 1 up 1 string, and number 2 follows, number 3, number 4, etc. We go all the way up 1 string at a time, and we go down 1 string at a time. Do not move more than 1 finger at once. This is a lesson about stretching your fingers and teaching them how to be individual fingers apart from the others. I like to hold the thumb on the back of the neck like this, although sometimes it wraps around, but usually the thumb is like this when I play. So that is called the spider exercise, and it's extremely useful. You should do this every day. It's harder down here, it's easier up here somewhere where there's not as far between the frets. Alright, let's zoom into the right hand now. I'm gonna give you an exercise here. Let's get going. So the cool thing about open G tuning is it's a chord. It already sounds good, but I'm gonna teach you the principle of clawhammer banjo now. So the thumb rests and bounces on the top string, on string number 5, and we're gonna use something called the melody finger. Most people use the pointy finger, but some people use, gotta be careful here, some people use the middle finger instead for playing a melody. And what you're gonna wanna do, I'm gonna use the pointy finger. You're gonna play the bump ditty, and it goes like this. So thumb rests on the 5th string, and I'm gonna hit string number 4, the one right below, with my pointy finger, and I'm gonna go like this. Bum, and then again D and T. So T is I kind of twist my thumb a little bit outwards as I let go of the string. It goes like this. Bum, D, T, bum, D, D, bum, D, D. And one way to make sure you get a good sound out of this is to let your melody finger land with the front of your nail on the string below it, so it lands on string number 3 in this case. So see here, this is string number 4. When I play, you see it's actually touching string number 3, and at the same time my thumb lands on string number 5, so it goes bum, D, D, bum, D, D, bum, D, D. Be really honest about how this sounds. It's 3 notes, each of them should be clear. Keep practicing this until you have it. And then when you have it, you switch the melody finger to another string, like string number 3. So now it goes. And I see a lot of beginning clawhammer banjo players who don't ground the thumb on the top string. You have to do that with every stroke, and then every 3rd stroke it makes a sound. So it's bum, di, di, bum, di, di. It's not bum, di, bum, di, di, bum, di, di. No, thumb down, diddy. So bum, di, di, bum, diddy. And then when you're done, you move to the second string. Bum, diddy, bum, diddy, bum, diddy, bum. Stick with it. It's gonna be hard at first, but you'll get it. And the first string. Very nice. Okay. And then you can go like a couple of times on each string, up and down like this. I start on string number 4. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. As mentioned, some people use the middle finger, and it looks really cool because then you're kind of pointing with your pointer finger. It looks like this. Now, this is just notes, right? But I can actually play melodies with this and have notes in between the ring out from the thumb, which is why clawhammer sounds so cool. So I can go something like that's what you're working towards here. You want to play music with this. One more thing I gotta show you right now is the drop thumb. What is the drop thumb? The drop thumb is essential to clawhammer banjo. It's kind of like once you go above the basics, you have this awesome tool where you drop the thumb to strings further down. So this exercise, we're gonna play the bum ditty with the thumb starting on the second string instead of the 5th, so it goes bum, ditty, bum, ditty. Remember to ground the thumb. You want it to land on each time the pointy finger plays. You want to land the thumb, and then every third time, every T, it makes a sound. So bum, ditty, bum, ditty. And then you move the thumb to the 3rd string. Yes. And you move the thumb to the 4th string like this. Yes. How about that? And to the 5th. Now it's kind of normal. And then back. And 3rd. And 2nd. Something like that. And that is drop thumb. And then you can mix and match as you like. You don't even have to do anything with your left hand. This just sounds cool. You can go so for example, this is the start of a tune called the Georgia Railroad, and it goes string number 1 and then for instance, it's one case where you use drop thumb, but practice drop thumb like I just showed you. And next up, I'm gonna show you this scale, so we're gonna focus a bit more on the left hand now. So for the left hand, you need to know a scale, and you can actually lead the melody with your fingers like this. So you can either just play with your pointer finger, or you can put the thumb behind, and then we're gonna play the scale. It goes like this. 4th string, loose, 4th string, 2nd fret, and 4th, and then loose, 2nd, loose, 1st, loose, 2nd, 4th, 5th. And notice I kind of have a designated finger for each fret, kind of. So here on the 4th fret, I use the ring finger, and when I'm on the 2nd fret, I kind of use the pointer finger, except for down here where I move everything over. So I'm not going to use the pinky finger for this fret. It makes no sense. You kind of want the fingers to have a designated fret, so it becomes it makes more sense in your head. Your fingers kind of learn where they need to go. So again, loose, 2nd fret, 4th fret, loose, 2nd, loose, 1st, loose, 2nd, 4th, 5th. And you want to be able to do it with the claw hammer, with the bum ditty going at the same time. So you can go like this, bum, and I'm gonna bum ditty on the 5th string with my thumb, like this. Bum, ditty, bum, ditty, bum, ditty, bum. Very nice. And then you can do it the other way, starting up and going down, starting on 5th fret, 1st string, going this way. So this is a G major scale. So every time you play a tune in G, it's gonna be one of these notes. A scale is like a language, and it makes it much easier to predict what notes are gonna show up in a song if you know some scale shapes in your left hand. So this is G major scale in 1st position, and it's extremely useful. So learn that. Last thing I'm gonna show you in this crash course on clawhammer banjo is something called hammer-ons and pull-offs. What are they? A hammer-on means you play one note with your right hand, and right after you press down on one of the strings on one of the frets with your left hand. And by doing this, you can play one note but get 2 notes. So a simple one would be this. I play like this, and then look at my index finger here, my pointer finger. And I can extend this to 4th fret also, so I can actually get 3 notes if I want. See my right hand at the same time? And you want to press down hard, so these notes become as loud as the note you're playing with your right hand. And every time there's a note where you press down on a fret, you can do a hammer-on instead. So you can play the G major scale with hammer-ons like this. Actually, I did a hammer-on with my pinky here. So do a small section of the scale, for instance, and then next time you go loose. If you reach 3rd string, you go loose, hammer on to 2nd fret with your middle finger, play, hammer on 1st fret, play, hammer on, hammer on, hammer on. And those are called hammer-ons. A pull-off is the opposite. It's a little trickier, but you play, for instance here, I have my pinky finger in 5th fret, a finger in 4th fret and in 2nd fret. And I play one note, and then, hear that? I play one note, but I get 2 notes. So I let go of the string, but I don't let go like this. I actually kind of twist the string a little as I let go. And then I can get, not part of the scale. Yeah, so. And I can play up here. 1st fret, pull off. I play the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and pull off. And I can do it up here as well. And then I can do stuff like this. I don't know what that was, I just made it up. But that was something where I used a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So that's extremely useful also. Fundamental technique for clawhammer. Alright, this wraps up this lesson on Clawhammer Banjo Crash Course. If you master these techniques and make these exercises, the spider exercise, the bump ditty exercise, the drop thumb exercise, the G major scale, the hammer-ons and the pull-offs, then I have every faith that you will be a happy clawhammer banjo player. Alright, that wraps up this clawhammer crash course. Thank you for watching this episode of Things with Strings. I hope you learned something, found it useful. If there's anything else you want to learn about, then let me know down in the comments. I do lessons on stringed instruments, songwriting, singing, music theory, and music production. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.